All right, well, welcome back to the Adventure Tech Garage, folks. Real quick, had a few increases in subscribers lately, so I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that I appreciate every single one of you guys that subscribes. Not sure exactly what you come here for, whether it's a little bit of off-road content or some tech stuff on the mini trucks or whatever, but you know, each one of you guys that subscribes is kind of a big deal. And also if you leave a comment, that's really cool too. Anyway, so engagement, appreciate that. Today we're gonna do a quick follow-up, not really even maybe a quick video, but a follow-up video to the recent trip down to Baja. But to start things off on this video, we're gonna cover the Waterport water tank real quick, and then we'll talk about, wanna do a post-trip kind of carnage report on what happened to the cruiser and how it fared and the different mechanical problems we kind of had along the trip. So first thing first here, let's talk about this Waterport. If you haven't seen my other video on it, check it out. I'll put a link over here on the upper left, but I did take it off of the truck along with my sweet aluminum box here because the garage clearance, it can't get inside the garage with it installed, so that's why it's off. And I don't know how practical it is really to keep that thing on there long term. So one downside might be that it's not very easy to get on and off of your truck, really. I mean, got to come up with some sort of a better quick disconnect type of thing, because at a minimum there's 4 bolts that hold it on, but to get to those 4 bolts that hold it on, you kind of would have had to have removed the 8 bolts. So there's really no quick disconnect feature, and in the process, when Levi was helping me take it off yesterday, we misplaced one of the rubber cushion feet. So keeping track of the hardware is kind of a pain. But anyway, this water tank is awesome. I gotta tell you, it's hard to rate things as far as your favorite mods and installs that you put on your truck, but this thing was really a game changer for us. One person had asked me in the Instagram about whether or not it holds pressure. He said theirs does not hold pressure for very long, but in my case, you got this really nice rubberized O-ring in there. It's kind of it's like a flat washer. Held pressure no problem. I tried to not drive it around the whole trip with pressure on it and only added pressure to it when I needed it. But yeah, I did end up having pressure in it for a couple days there, and it held the pressure just fine. That might be because of this little guy here, which I just happened to have around the house for garden stuff. It's just a quick plug cap with a washer on it, because maybe, you know, if that thing right there is just kind of a plastic ball valve. So if you're leaving that on, you might be bleeding pressure off. But I left that on and just kept the dust out with this little doodad, and it worked just fine. But yeah, game changer. Loved having that thing on the truck. Absolutely loved it. I didn't need to use it for showers per se. I did wash a little bit of mud off of the truck a couple times, but I did kind of use it as a shower in a parking lot down there in Mexico. But just with my pants on, you know, just a head shower and stuff, and it was amazing. And just the ability to have water with a variety of nozzle ends. I moved everything to this handy bag. I think this is a bag from, I think this is actually a bag I found in a campsite somewhere, but it should be for those those orange RV blocks, leveling blocks. That's what I believe it's for. But anyway, I moved it all in there. I keep a RV water filter for adding water to it, and if I'm going to fill water bottles, turn it around and use that to filter out the water going into your water bottles. Because again, as I mentioned in the first video, my primary reason wasn't for onboard showers, it was for water transport. Sure, it's easy enough, especially on those trips like that where you can just grab several gallons of water, but then you got all these different gallon water jugs rolling around. So you can just kind of fill that thing up. But let me talk about what I did to kind of clean out that tank after I show you this. So anyway, the 16-foot hose, super handy. You got your quick disconnects on both ends. A little bit of sand in that one, but they worked great. Never had one pop off on me. Good O-rings in there, keep them kind of moistened with some lubricant or whatever. The thing's 16 feet long, plenty of room to kind of reach all the way around and wash the front of my truck off after I had hauled ass through a water puddle. The nozzle was really handy. You got all these different settings: shower, jet, flat, center, mist, and so forth. Get the quick disconnect on there. What else is in here? A couple, so kind of the fill regulator. The fill regulator is just this plastic part, and it just kind of slows down the flow of water going in if you hook it up to some sort of high pressure. You know, most of the gas stations that have potable water next to the fuel pump is a good example. You know, they've got those little adjustable regulators right there on the big handle that flips up, but if those don't work very good, this is going to keep you from blasting a ton of water in there. But pretty much all of these things came with the kit, as shown in the other video, the quick disconnects. So if I was going to use the hose, what I would have done is popped that off, stuck that on, done the quick disconnect, and then removed that. That's really not a very practical long-term cap to keep on there, in my opinion. It'll work, it'll stay on there, but you know, driving down the road it might fall off. So one thing I was really adamant about, was kind of paranoid about, is you know, sometimes you loosen it up so that if you're just going to gravity get water out of it, you know, you might be out there with just the lid off like that. I was super adamant about remembering to always double check, triple check the damn cap security. But I wish there was some sort of a small tip on there with a little ball chain, which might be a cool mod to do. A little ball chain, a little tether, kind of hooked onto that, so that if it falls off, you're not losing it. Because once you lose that, you're hosed. You're good, especially if you're out in a super remote area. Good luck trying to find that. I don't know what the thread cap is. If you can, the cap thread is, if you can find one of those at a Tractor Supply Company type of place or what. But so I was kind of paranoid about that. Same thing with the little teeny stainless steel cap here, and this little guy as well. So something I was kind of nervous about. Now I did inadvertently tested the overpressure, and it works. Right here on the top it says do not exceed 40 psi. Well, it was chock full of water, and I hooked up the ARB air compressor to it and walked away, and sure enough, within, I don't know, 15-20 seconds, because it was so full of water, it pressurized so quick that sure enough, just full on geyser coming out of both sides. And I was like, oh, that'll stop any second. And it kind of kept going for 20 seconds or so, and everybody's looking at me like an asshole. Your thing's broken. You're leaking water, smart guy. I'm like, yeah, okay, whoops. So I can open the damn thing, release the pressure, and then it stopped. But that's relieving that this thing actually works. Pun. Excuse the pun. It works and resecured itself, and no leaks after that. So anyways, the water tank is awesome. I'm super glad I got it. I really like the size of it, the shape of it, how it fits on the rack, and where I was able to have it mounted. Just like I said in the beginning though, the ability to kind of quick release, pull it on and off is maybe a tricky little challenge there. Now I said I would mention how I cleaned it. I didn't clean it before I installed it on the roof, so once I had it on the roof I was like, oh duh, you didn't even take any spray to it. So I ended up filling it up like 3 times full of fresh, clean, filtered water from the house. I ran it around and drove around the neighborhood, swished it around like half full, drained it out, and then on the 3rd and 4th one I added like a whole bunch of lemon juice, just one of those giant lemon juice bottles, to kind of clean it out. And so after like the 5th or so flush and fill and drain, I'm still looking in there, and you can still see particles and shit floating around in the water. Plastic, who knows what it all is. So I didn't want to fill up all my water bottles with that, so I experimented with running the water filter, and that's what I would recommend if you're going to use it for filling up your bottles. Number 1, wash it out really well if you can with maybe super hot water. Pour some almost boiling water in there, swish it around, and do some sort of, you know, water treatment to it before you install it on your truck. Maybe last thing is, one of the main features I really like about it is the ability that the water drains out of the low part here. So you can see by the shape of it that it probably will hold water on the one side, and you won't get all of it to this side. But overall, the nice thing is when you really want it drained, you can just park your truck on, you know, your driveway or some sort of a slope, pop the thing off, and drain out most all your water. And it's an advantage that I think it has over the other aluminum versions options that I was going to go with. So anyway, to wrap it up, this thing is freaking badass. I love it. I intend to be able to use that in the Tundra, mount it on top of the decked boxes somehow, or maybe up inside the cab. Not the cab, but the camper shell, the shell topper. Find a way to mount it up there. I think they said, I think I read in the comments on their Amazon or whatever, these guys who are really good at responding, that it can be mounted upside down, sideways, whatever. So you've got different options to get them out. But super cool item. Super stoked I got it. It was kind of spendy. I didn't mention how in the other video I kind of alluded to, but I didn't really cover it, was why I ended up with this one. It's because I got down to about 3 days before the trip before I decided, yeah, I guess I'll spend $450 on a water tank. And there were none of those road showers available anywhere, dude. I called. I live here in Ogden, Utah, and garages in Salt Lake, and I called all the way to Vegas, to San Diego, all of the outlets that would carry those road showers, from REI to just a number of stores, and I couldn't find a single one. And then it finally dawned on me, and even through Amazon, it was like they weren't going to be able to ship right away wherever these things were stored at, these or the road showers. So it finally dawned on me, well, let me try 4-Wheel Parts, because they have a warehouse here. And called them up that next morning, and they said, oh yeah, sure, as long as you get your order in by 3 p.m. We've got one sitting over there in Denver. It'll be here, overnight. So just a pro tip to remember to use the systems that are in place with their supply networks and shipping trucks and stuff. And that's why I ultimately ended up with this, because it was going to be available pretty darn quick, and I was super stoked to pick it up at 4-Wheel Parts right over here in Salt Lake, Utah. So that's a wrap for that. Now I'm just going to cut and make a new video for the follow-up on the post-trip report, carnage report of what happened here to the 100 on the trip down to Moab down to Baja. So stay tuned for that.